Hello there, and welcome to Talking Nerdy, the show where we take various story arcs and events from current comics and we cover them. I'm your host, Obi-Wan Jabroni. Now, for today's story, we will be covering X-Men number 5 through 7 and Secret X-Men number 1. Issues 5 through 7 are written by Jerry Dugan, with art by Javier Pina and colors by Eric Arcienga. And Secret X-Men is written by Teenie Howard, with art by Francesco Mobile and colors by Jesus Abertov. The newly elected X-Men have had their hands full protecting the Earth, while another quieter threat to Krakoa's existence has been growing as the reporter Ben Urich investigates the Mutant Nation and their resurrections. So, with that, let's start talking nerdy. First up, we have X-Men number 5, Don't Piss Off Polaris. We open at a nuclear power plant and we see the X-Men mostly taken out, and Polaris comes to and gets to her feet and faces the group of Reavers that attacked them and says, damn it. Okay, boys. You may have taken out the rest of my team, dumped my flat white, and busted my glasses, but you have really pissed me off. And she uses her powers to work the unconscious X-23 like a puppet and attack the Reavers. And we switch to earlier that day. Polaris uses her powers to insert the last nuclear control arm into place and puts a force field around the nuclear waste and raises it into the air. Together with Rogue flying a jet, they take it and dispose of it into the sun itself and return to the power plant. Now, back in the current time, Polaris launches the unconscious X-23 at the Reavers and starts to take them out one by one. And one of the Reavers uses a flashbang and blinds Polaris. Polaris, blinded, raises into the air and says, I underestimated you. You actually have a brain in that head, but so do I. I don't just see the world in my eyes. I see it on the electromagnetic spectrum. I see the iron in your blood and the metal fillings in your teeth. To me, my fillings. And she rips the fillings from their teeth as X-23 wakes up and starts to attack them on her own finally. The remaining Reavers run away as the rest of the X-Men recover and get to their feet. A few days later in New York City, Ben Urich approaches Cyclops and asks if they can talk. Cyclops agrees, and they start to walk down the street together. And Ben pulls out his notepad and says, Sorry to take you away from your friends. I have a story to tell. Don't get too excited. You already know this one. Hang on. Humor me, Cyclops. Not long ago, you travel to space. A fight breaks out. You go up, but you don't come back, do you? You die up there. But here you stand anyway. Only, it's not just you, is it? It's Jumbo. It's someone named Nathan Summers, who's I'm guessing is related to you. His grave in Westchester is empty. I had a story already, and cards on the table. I think your enemies do too. I'll be honest with you, Scott. It may be the biggest story in, well, over 2,000 years, right? I don't know the how yet, but mutantdom has solved for death. Isn't that right? I don't waste ink on personal stuff, but this is monumental. You understand, it doesn't just give you a nation, it gives you dominion. I'm not done writing the piece, so I'll give you a day to think about what, if any, comment you want to give. Okay? And Ben turns and leaves Cyclops standing alone on the sidewalk with his mouth open and speechless. And that ends this issue. Taking us to X-Men number 6. What happened to Captain Krakoa? And we open in New York City, and we see a mysterious new superhero named Captain Krakoa in a montage of him saving and helping various citizens around the city. Now, 6 days later in the Quiet Council chamber, Cyclops stands before the Quiet Council, and we learn that they are forcing Cyclops to put Captain Krakoa onto the X-Men team. And he tries to say no, but Professor X cuts him off and says, Scott, when you broke away from the Council after the tournament in Otherworld, I was proud of you, and I'm pleased with everything you and the X-Men have accomplished in such a short time. But the third law of Krakoa states that we must respect the sacred land, and the Quiet Council will fulfill our obligations. Krakoa gives away whiskey and medicine, yet only half the nations of man recognize us. They're simply not ready for what you're proposing. Scott, we need time to properly debate the matter. We'll let you know. And Scott cuts him off and says, No, I'm staying here for this vote. Charles sighs and says, Very well. And he calls for the vote, which passes unanimously. And Scott storms out of the room, defeated. Elsewhere on Arako's moon Phobos, we see the scientist Phaelong land his ship on the surface of Phobos, followed closely by Sunfire. When Phaelong exits his ship, Sunfire says he has to leave. The mutants of Arako will see him landing right next to them as a threat. And Phaelong says he doesn't care and claims Phobos as a human-owned planet and sends that message across both planets for all to see. Sunfire continues to try to tell Phaelong to leave when a huge winged Arakan shows up and attacks them. Phaelong opens his mouth and a giant green energy blast shoots out, disintegrating the Arakan. And Sunfire asks what he did in awe and says, This won't end today. Phaelong smiles and says that the spirit and Sunfire, and says that's the spirit, and Sunfire flies away. And next we get a montage of Phaelong building up Phobos and a monologue saying, Within days, Phobos was transformed by Phaelong into humanity's foothold in the stars. Drone ships arrived every hour, carrying everything Orcus would need for a permanent base above Araco. Gravity was increased, and Phaelong used his immense wealth to encase Phobos in technology that made it both a Dyson ring and a greenhouse. And during a survey of the surface, the corpse of Nightcrawler was discovered and was incorporated into a fabrication of his science station. And we switch to later at the X-Men treehouse. Cyclops enters pissed at the council and he calls Ben Urich. He tells Ben he's ready to talk, and Ben says he has no idea what he's talking about. He's not working on any stories right now. And Cyclops hangs up the phone and lowers his head in defeat. And that ends this issue. Leading us to X-Men number 7. This is how it happens. And we open at the Boneyard on Krakoa. And we see Cyclops being resurrected by Emma Frost. And he asks how he died and says that he needs to get back to the X-Men. Emma says he can't go back. His death was very public. And he tells her to show him. And she says she can't. And he gets up and leaves saying, I need to get back to the X-Men then. And we switch to earlier that day in a subway in New York. The X-Men arrive to find a group of creatures that attack them on sight. Cyclops ricochets the optic blast to take out numerous creatures as Sunfire, Sync, and X-23 take out some more. And one of the creatures snatches a woman's baby from her, and Cyclops tells him to gently put it down. And the creature throws the baby, and as Cyclops dives and catches it, the creature slices his neck with its claws. And a stranger approaches Cyclops as he lands and whispers something into his ear before running off, leaving Cyclops to die in front of the entire world. Now, back in current time, Cyclops and Jean enter Forge's lab, and Forge presents him with a suit. And we learn that Cyclops has been secretly posing as the mysterious Captain Krakoa all along. And that ends this issue. Taking us to our final issue, Secret X-Men #1. Shh, it's the X-Men. We open in the Shi'ar homeworld Chandelar, and we see a montage of Sunspot drinking and fucking various aliens and claiming to lead the X-Men himself. And as one girl leads him into a room, he enters to find Deathbird waiting for him inside. The girl drops the ruse and joins Deathbird joins Deathbird, who says, "I need the assistance of the X-Men, and my scout here said you are currently claiming to be the leader of the X-Men. It seems as though she was able to get you alone easily, but despite your low risk awareness, you are my ally. Sunspot, I come to you in need of an ally outside of the Shi'ar Imperial Guard. Delphos and the Oracle, our precogs, have seen a threat to the life of Zandra, the young Empress. As such, I have moved her to a secondary location far from Chandelar. Your X-Men will meet me there under utmost secrecy. She is a high priority target. I hope to make myself clear. I have made it difficult to reach by design, and I don't doubt your abilities. I did not know who the X-Men would choose as their leader. I thought it might be you, Roberto. I like to be right." And we switch to later at Cannonball's house, and Sunspot is talking to Cannonball and saying, "She was crazy about me. She was like, 'Sunspot, leader of the X-Men, are you listening? Even listening, Sam?' And Sam says, 'Yes. Do you want to hear about the team I picked or not?' Okay, so 1 and 2, me and you, co-captains. Third, you need muscle. Strong guy, duh. And armor because she's adaptive. And then you need some firepower like Boom Boom because she's sexy. And Banshee because he's sexy. And then a wild card. And you want to ask them early on. They're impossible to manage if they get the idea that they're an afterthought. Marrow. And then my secret weapon, the reset button. Tempo. Tempo, like if you screw up, she can fix it all back and you can try again." And Cannonball says he don't think her powers work quite like that. And Sunspot laughs and says, "Well, they're all downstairs anyway. We should just go ask her." And they're interrupted by Cannonball's wife, Smasher, and Gladiator. And they enter the room, and Gladiator says, "The Empress Sandra is missing. She is a high priority target, and it would seem Deathbird is missing along with her. Oracle and Delphos are gone too. With 2 pregogs nearby, we're thinking she didn't get jumped by surprise. Our recent defenses are impenetrable, meaning Deathbird must have Zandra and be hiding with her. I see 7 mutants on my front stoop, so I'm guessing you have a team already. I would not ordinarily trust such things to those outside the Imperial Guard, but Cannonball, he is family to one of our own. This way, we can remain here in defenses." And Spot says nothing about his deal. Shit, I got tongue-tied. About his deal with Deathbird, and agrees to help find the Empress for them. And we switch to later on Sunspot's ship. The team gather and put new uniforms Forge made for this mission on, when the ship is attacked by Seedry bounty hunters. Armor, Strong Guy, Cannonball, and Marrow go out and start to fight off everyone they can, but they start to get overrun quickly. Banshee tells the team to take cover, and he hangs out of the ship and screams till his ears and nose start to bleed. All of the remaining Seedry explode into chunks and mist. Now, later at Deathbird's provided coordinates, the team arrive and split up to look for Deathbird. They aren't split long when Marrow calls for them and says that she's found a big door. They converge on her location and enter as a group to find a Krakoan gate inside. When out of nowhere, Seedry hunters come flying into the room. Boom Boom and Strong Guy tell them all to go, and they will hold them off. And the others agree and rush through the gate to find Deathbird and the Empress on Deathbird's ship. Deathbird approaches Sunspot and says, I would have removed us had you not made it here in time, but I would have led you to believe that as for your punishment for your failure, I would have wanted you to bear the shame of our deaths. But you did not fail. You succeeded, quite handedly, suspiciously so. And you have nothing else you need to tell me? No trouble with the guard? I have eyes and ears everywhere, you fools, and I know you were sent here by Gladiator and the rest. You lied to my face after being trusted with the Emperor's life. You are no ally to me. I should kill you and your team for this, Sunspot. And Cannonball and the team tell her to put him down now, and the Empress yells out psychically, saying, we don't have time to fight like this. I can see their thoughts. They aren't lying to us. They came here as XMen, as our allies. When I really do go missing, that's who we count on. They didn't come here with Gladiator, and they could have. What's important is the truth. Now we don't know who in the guard we can trust, and now it seems our cautious secrecy has bred distrust among important allies. Even when those alliances are tentative, such as yours and Gladiator's, they are vital. I'm sorry, I have to confess, you were slightly influenced by me. Deathbird says I had to make hard decisions myself if I wanted allies from among you. I had to choose them. The night your X-Men were chosen, you all who wanted it the most did not fight amongst each other. You toasted together as friends. That seemed more important than who had what power. I must confess, I helped you a little with your psychic problem as well. When I sensed your distress from afar, I couldn't help myself. My allies, the precogs, told me we'd be in danger, so Deathbird insisted they come along. We feel safer with them. I don't know what I'd do if anything happened to Deathbird. And suddenly a grapple bursts through the window and wraps around Deathbird, pulling her outside and into a Seedry ship that teleports away instantly. Sunspot says they have to save her, and the teams move for the gates. When the Empress uses her powers to stop them and wipes their memories, and she turns to the oracles and says, I had to alter their memories. I thought this was only a training exercise. I didn't think it would be serious. They are my friends, and they wanted it so badly. More than anyone, these ones wanted to be X-Men. I understand they will remember the rest of all this. The chase, the fun of it, but not all of it. They cannot know Deathbird is gone. Roberto cares for her so, but you are my advisors, and I believe you. But I want them to think of tonight and feel proud. And though I accept I must change their memories, and that I am not proud, my X-Men will always be my secret. And that ends our story. I hope you all enjoyed this week's video. Join us next week as we cover The Death of Doctor Strange, number 1 through 5. Thanks for watching. As always, remember to like, subscribe, and share our video to help spread our brand through the world. Also, leave a comment down below. Feedback is always welcome. Now, you can also find us on the Jabroni Nerd Facebook page. So, until next week, guys, keep talking nerdy.